Hi there. This is a warning. This is a story of trauma. I'm actually going to take you into a snippet of a dear client of mine that is now a leader within our community. And he's going to share his story of being abused by his father, but actually transcending his trauma and really becoming a leader today, bringing his voice and message to the world. So welcome. I'm Dr. Erin, Dr. Divinity and founder of Soulciété. We teach spiritual psychology and E4 trauma method and universal law and reprogram the subconscious mind, past life regressions, and the metaphysics of mind, unity, oneness. That is our message. So I'm actually going to take you into a snippet of the very first E4 trauma method that I took Ruu Campbell in through. And now he has become a big staple within our community, has gotten trained in the work, and is really truly embodying the highest of the highest consciousness. So I hope you enjoy this. Sit back and enjoy this incredible story of trauma healing, truly knowing it's possible for you as well.
I've just spilled some ink or something and my mom is saying, get away, go run, go find, get away, just hide. And I'm scrabbling around trying to find somewhere to go. I know I've done something really bad. I'm going up the stairs. I'm looking in this room. I can't find anywhere there. I shut the door. I go in the next one. There's nowhere to go. I can't get out. I find these clothes in, I think, my sister's bedroom, and I run in and I hide behind the clothes, praying that, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? I hear his foot. I hear this kind of, opens the door. I go, Daddy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. All I'm just saying is, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And he goes, you will be sorry. And looks at me with this hate and anger. And I'm really fucking scared and uneasy. And I don't know what to do. And I want to jump out the window, but I'm 4 stories up. And I just don't know what to do. I'm so just stuck. Oh. He goes out and I think, what do I do now? Do I run? But I'm paralyzed, so I stay. And he comes back, gets this big fucking shoe, puts me over his knee and just starts beating me with all of his anger and venom, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. He really hates me. And then I pee myself, I pee over him, and I feel really bad about that. He reflects on that, and I just feel even more pathetic because I can't even keep that in. Like, I'm not even man enough to be beaten or something weird like that. And then he goes, I'm left in the corner, and it's a moment of just, and then that moment doesn't end. I'm there for a long time, just covered in my own pee. And I don't know, it's the next day before I'm let out of this room. And then I think it's his birthday or something, and I've done him this card, and all I want to do is get his approval, and I give him this big card. I'm like, happy birthday. And everyone pretends like it hasn't just happened.
So what you just heard was a snippet of the very first E4 trauma method that I did on Ruu Campbell. But wanted to say that we're just so honored, because what happened with Ruu is he came on to a live recording of a podcast that he signed a waiver to release to the world. And we just never released that session. And we know there's divine timing. And so it really is the perfect time to showcase his incredible story. You're going to hear about where he came from, kind of all of his trauma, to how he overcame it and his experience with the E4 trauma method, Soulciété, and working with me, and then where he is now and bringing his gifts, his message and voice to the world. But before we want to begin, I wanted to say, I'm not a psychologist. I'm a Dr. Divinity, and this is our spiritual right to do our inner trauma transformational work. But if you're at home, please seek medical help or professional help. Please do not try and do your trauma work without getting certified or accredited or working with a professional, okay? So sit back and enjoy this profound interview. Man, oh man, I don't even know where to begin. I began my day in tears as I began to get prepared for this interview. I would say I haven't even had the interview yet, and I feel like this is my favorite interview ever, because today I'm having one of my dear clients and friends and peers and leaders in our industry now, Ruu Campbell, who has come into my life and really blessed me with all of his relative experiences, his trauma and his heart and his sound and his music and his friendship. And I could go on and on and on. So Ruu, I'm so excited to dive deep today of having you really take the audience through what it was like to be beat as a child by your father, by your family,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what that experience was from a virtual share, going through the process of healing and where you are today. So first, I just want to say, hi, how are you? I'm so
Hi,
excited you're
Dr.
here.
I want to say too, it's such an honor to be here with you. I think I was reflecting on my journey with you yesterday, and I think I came up with a sentence of, I've learned more from you than any other human being on the planet. And it was an amazing thing to say about anyone. And I really sat with it. Is that really true? And I was like, it is actually true. So thank you so much. It's been amazing. The journey with you has just been amazing. I knew from the first second of meeting you and being in presence with your consciousness that we were to work together and that you were my next teacher. And I'm so pleased I got the call and you were so available, and my life is so different now.
I literally, I'm going to cry. Like there's no words. And we could go into, like, I could talk to you for hours about all this because I could just go off of that one conversation forever, because life has blessings and really hard things. And, life as a leader has times where it's really challenging. And then moments where you have clients that literally tell you things that are the greatest gift of your life.
Yeah.
And this is life. It's the trauma, it's the beauty, it's all of it. And so we would be so honored for you to kind of set the tone.
Okay.
Take us there as if we're watching a movie. What was your life like before you take us into the virtual share of the actual one of the traumatic incidences?
Well, let's just say the curtains were always closed and the sun was not shining, and life appeared to be something that I didn't like very much, and people didn't seem to love each other. It was very conditional. If you behaved a certain way, you got treated well. If you didn't, you were hated. I remember looking up at a board we used to have, and my sister would have all kind of gold stars and my brother's silver stars, and I'd have a whole line of black dots going down. And I was just forever not getting it right, just trying desperately to be the person they wanted me to be, but being unable to be that being. And it was a very violent, volatile place. There was no space. It was quite weird actually, because my father was quite naughty, so we were often we'd be moving house without really knowing it, and I'd have to have another name, and it was all really confusing. So the whole thing was just really confusing.
So tell me, where were you born? And what?
I was born in Shropshire, Shrewsbury, and then, which is in the middle of England, sort of on the west side. And then my mum was kind of, quite la-di-da, and my father was sort of the opposite. And they eloped and they ran away together, and they had children really young, and they admitted to me later they was just sort of living an image of what they thought they should be. And which is really beautiful. And then we moved to London when I was 4 years old. And then I think in my father's pursuit to be good enough, I think he overextended himself a lot and bought loads of property, and then got in trouble with the law, and it all kicked off. And at one point my mum's hair fell out and her nails fell out, and he was in prison, and it was all, they were doing their best, but it was an intense time. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So here you are, you're in England, you've moved to London. You have older siblings?
Yeah, I have an older sister and two younger brothers. But I was always like the eldest son. I was the heir to nothing, as it turns out. But I was the one that was always in trouble for everything everyone else did, and I was the responsible one, kind of thing. That was the role I was supposed to fulfill.
Okay. And this was a dysfunctional family, if you will. So take us there. Take us to a traumatic incident. I want you to take it through almost like an E4 in a virtual share. Okay. So take me there. Let's just take a breath together, everyone. And I just want to set the tone that the reason why we're doing this is really to help one person out there. Maybe there's one person, or maybe you've gone through, some really intense trauma. And we're doing this so that you can know the level of trauma that someone can go through, and the blessing and the purpose and calling that comes out of this. So Ruu, let's just take a deep breath together. And exhaling out. Take me there.
Firstly, I'm looking at my front door, and I'm willing that I don't have to go through it. but I do have to go through it. And so I'm somewhere I don't want to be, but I'm 7 years old, or I'm a young boy, and I've just spilt some ink on the floor, and I'm, Mummy, I've spilled ink on the floor. What do I do? And my mother looks at me and she's like, run. She says, run. And I see the terror in her eyes, and I just begin running, and I'm running up the stairs, and I sort of open the bathroom, and there's nowhere to hide in the bathroom, and I open my sister's room, and there's nowhere to hide in there, and I open my parents' bedroom, there's nowhere to hide in there, and I go out on the patio, and I consider sort of jumping onto a roof, but I don't think I can make it. So I run back, and I find a deep corner of my sister's room, and I'm hiding in the corner underneath all of these clothes, and I'm sort of pretending I'm not there, all held up in the corner. And I hear my mum, I hear my dad from downstairs saying, what's going on? And suddenly he's at the door, and he opens the door, and I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, Daddy, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Daddy, I'm so sorry, Daddy, I'm so sorry. And he looks at me and he says, you will be. And he then shuts the door again, and I hear him going next door, and he's gone to the room, and he's comes back with a huge gym shoe, and he grabs me, I think could be even by the hair, and he puts me over his knee, and he begins beating me with such a force, he's really going at it. And I feel a sense of warmth as he's beating me, and I realize that I've urinated all over myself and him. And then he sort of gets up, or looks at me disgusted, and sort of discards me into the corner, and I'm left in the corner, sort of underneath these clothes, and I'm left there all that day. It was, it happened in the early morning, and I was there all that day, and then all that night, and then all the next day without anyone coming in or food or anything. And then I was let out that day because I'd drawn my father a birthday card, and it was his birthday.
Ruu, what did you decide? What were the commands? You know this work so well, and someone listening in, that there's commands that happen. What were those commands that you decided about yourself?
The biggest one, that I am bad, that I am weak, that I hurt people I love, that I'm unworthy, that I'm undeserving, that life is hard, that I'm a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
And
go ahead, sorry. Mm-hmm.
And more recently, I've realized, thanks to your help, that beneath the I am bad command was, I'm not the person you want me to be. Mm-hmm. And that's been the biggest breakthrough for me in my present relationship with my wife.
Mm-hmm. So good. So I want you to explain the commands, because you know this work. We've been doing this work for a long time, and you've done lots of trauma sessions and lots of past life trauma sessions and lots of all different things.
Yeah.
Those commands, as we know, for anyone listening in, the commands end up actually myelinating the epigenetics and actually like strangulating the DNA. It also creates an engram in the neurological system, and it plays out in an actual command in the subconscious mind, tagging to negative charged on the mental pictures. Okay, that's a lot. But basically, bottom line is the commands play out like puppet strings. So tell us a little bit about how that was playing out in your life as a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, I actually saw in a past life that I was given away as a really young boy, and so I internalized then a command that I am bad. So I came into this life with that command of I am bad, and so I drew this behavior from these two beautiful people who didn't harm my brothers or my sisters. It was just me. So I created that in that moment, and I really see my choice in that. So not only did I create the harm, as it were, in my family life, I then went on to I sabotage pretty much all the good that's ever happened because I'm undeserving. I'm not worthy. I have to fulfill the identity of being that little beaten boy who's left in the corner. So, you know, whenever something got too good or too amazing, I would unconsciously sabotage it, you know, and that became even the most evident that was with my deal with DreamWorks. You know, I got signed for $1 million and I never felt like I had the money. I sort of pretended it wasn't there. And it was a comment from my bookkeeper who said, Ruu, you know, this is your money. And I was like, I didn't even answer. I couldn't. It's like my determination to be that command of I'm not good enough, I'm bad, I'm unworthy was so strong in me that I couldn't assume ownership of all of that money. And it just all kind of disappeared into lawyers and bookkeepers and managers. And I never really had any of it because I just wasn't ready for it. And then in my relationship now, and I've been, you know, I'm lucky enough to have met my beloved, and I've had years and years of abundant love, yet I'm still always the bad one. And I get pulled into victim abuser consciousness with her. If I'm not really sort of on it, I get pulled into being the one that's let them all down, you know. And maybe also I had all this promise, you know, I was quite a high achiever as a child, bizarrely, you know, I was a straight A student and quite gifted. And yet I was always disappointing everybody because, you know, I could never quite do it.
So this is a very, very advanced conscious conversation here. And if you're listening in, please know that, you know, if you were abused or raped or whatever, it doesn't mean that you know, it's hard for people to get like you created that. And we want to acknowledge anybody listening in to say that, hey, you're not bad that you created this. But when you really deeply, deeply, deeply do the work, you do have the revelation of how it is all created in mind and how those limited beliefs set like a energetic. And it's like, it literally is, you could say the law of attraction, but it's, you know, way, way more intricate than how it's been explained. But that is the self-fulfilling prophecy of that's how powerful we are the moment that we decide we're not enough, that it sets the polarity of the entire universal law into motion. Make sure that veil, that, you know, lens is looked through, and that energetic match has to be matched. So Ruu, I just want to acknowledge you, like you're full on enlightened, you know, Buddha being here, like truly. And I'm so incredibly excited for your gifts to actually go out to the world. You know, you, as you know, and for people out there that were in the community, Ruu sung a song on one of the retreats a little while back. And it was literally, I think, the best song I've ever heard in my entire life, no exaggeration. And you still haven't published it.
No, I'm really bad. I mean, I'm getting better, but
let's talk about that. Let's do a little session. No, just kidding. No. But I know that it's coming out, and I know that we're working on a bunch of stuff I believe that you are somebody that is going to mark the world with so much love and frequency that it's going to shatter reality for people out there. And that's absolutely where I hold you at all points in time.
Beautiful. And I'm learning to hold myself there too, Dr. E.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's
good.
talk a little bit about your experience with E4 and Soulciété.
Okay,
and
that's one of my favorite subjects.
Okay.
Because, you know, just this morning I was doing an E4 with a client, and, you know, that was another thing I came to. Dr. Erin is like the Swiss Army knife of resolving the human condition.
I love it. Yes. It's my new tagline. It's my new tagline.
My first E4 was extraordinary, and I knew then that was the next thing for me to learn. But what I didn't know then was the journey of that was so beautiful. I didn't know that led me to a place where I feel more and more like the amplifier of the universe, sort of thing, without anything in the way. And every E4 I've done, and I've done loads of them, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about consciousness. That's the other thing. I wasn't aware of the beauty of consciousness and how much we can play in consciousness. And I honor you, Dr. Erin, in creating a society and a place, a school of consciousness. I mean, it's like Harry Potter on steroids in the real world. Do you know what I mean? It's, for someone like me, it's just, I can't believe my luck to train my consciousness, which is just the most incredible possibility. And again, I said, you know, I've been in communes where I've worn a robe and I've meditated all day, nowhere near as conscious
Oh, so
as
great.
getting
So
on
great.
into Soulciété. So the community is amazing. The E4 is an incredible. I remember doing lots of Tony Robbins, and I became aware of coaching and life coaching and all this, and it was all great. And I was like, good, you know, we can make changes, identity creates, but there was no place for real trauma. So I was looking for, where do people who have real trauma, like I know I do, where do we go? And then I found you and the E4, and that's been such a breakthrough to me. And then to share that with everyone I love. I mean, everyone I know, I do E4 on, you know, I do it with my brother, my
So
sister,
good.
my wife.
Oh, that just makes me so happy.
We
Yeah.
all do it because it's just, for me, it's just got to be done. It's just like, well, before you try anything, just do your trauma work, because you're going to sabotage it. You know, someone said to me just today, why can't we just cry? And I was like, listen, we can just cry, and you can do controlled crying, you can do breath work. But if you don't have a change in consciousness, you're just going to go right back to where you were before. So that's the key. E4, you design this method that unites the releasing of emotion with a change of consciousness, and that shit stinks. I mean, stinks.
Stinks. But I agree. I think that people don't understand, right? You can't teach enlightenment. You have to experience enlightenment.
Yeah.
So what we find, as I'm sure with you, is like, you go in thinking, I just want to heal this pain. I just want to end some of the suffering. I just want to end some of the stuck patterns.
Yeah.
But what you come out with is like a whole new revelation.
Yeah. I mean, that's another crazy thing, is that, you know, I ended up back in the commune in India, understanding the wisdom of the ancients, which I didn't think it would go there at all.
Yes.
Now I'm sitting nestled in between the East and the West, fully integrated. Also, it's not pie in the sky. It's really grounded. You know, it's abundance, it's prosperity, it's loving those you love, it's earning what you want to earn, it's getting this world working for you. It's not hiding in a cave wishing things were different. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
really good. Yeah.
It's so good. You know, I always think about you because, you know, you're a musician, and I always think of trauma work like a piano player.
Yeah.
So like a piano player can play full chords and do everything and have artistry. And I think about it like our DNA. Like the DNA is almost like we get to play our DNA, but
Yeah.
if we have trauma, it's like having a stuck where your piano keys aren't working and you can't play the song that you want to play.
Yeah.
And I do think that music is the highest frequency. It's the highest, most beautiful art on this planet, especially even voice is so beautiful.
Yeah.
But so just, I don't know, just whatever it is that you want to say for yourself around music and how it's impacted you with your ability, because you already had so many abilities to do the music anyway.
I did. Music for me is a place of extreme vulnerability. So it's a place where I have to be honest. And that has closed doors and opened doors. And I think that's probably why my DreamWorks record stayed on the shelf, because I'm not sure it was fully honest. And, you know, that it quite had the honesty, and that I was ready, really. And maybe I was doing it for different reasons as well. Like that's something else you find through the E4 is you get to a point when you're releasing all the pent-up anger, all the emotions, all the judging, all the stuff you've been turning ultimately on yourself. When you release all of that, you begin creating and sharing from a different source. It's like you begin creating from a source of purity. It's not for anything. It's not so you can be a pop star, or so you can earn money, or so it's not. It's just for the joy of the doing of it, for the being of it. And that's a huge thing that feels different to me now. Just the joy of being who I am. Because what I've realized is that I might not be the person you want me to be, but I'm the person I want to be.
Yes, I love it. There's so much buzz right now, of course, around intergenerational trauma,
Oh yeah,
past life
yeah,
regressions. Now, I don't know if I'm sure other people do past life regression trauma, and then
yeah,
of course, codependency trauma and on and on and on. So the
yeah,
cool thing just for people out there that if you're listening, that it's not just one thing. Like E4
yeah,
trauma method, we use it no matter what. If
yeah,
you're dealing with being abused, or if you're dealing with a breakup from last week, or if you're dealing with things like traumas that have come down, your intergenerational traumas, but it's the same process, which is so amazing about the E4 and stuff.
yeah.
But I want you to tell people where they can find you. First of all, your music,
Okay.
number one, because the most important thing is for them to find your music. And
Well, I've
then,
made it very
yes.
hard. No, but I think if you Google Ruu Campbell, Ruu Campbell, I'm on iTunes, Spotify, I'm around. And there's a record, Heart Song was my last record, which is a beautiful record. And I've got a new record I'm writing at the moment, which hopefully will be out in the spring next year, called Kiss of the Stars, featuring that song you love and many more. And I'm also because we love prayer, don't we, Dr. E? And
Yes,
I'm
we
learning
do.
a lot about the power of intention, and just so I'm also doing music that is quite prayer based now, that is healing. Like I've got a forgiveness track and I am track, which is kind of meditative, kind of mantra like, because I quite react to mantras and their lack of creativity. So I'm trying to sort of birth that too. So yeah, there's lots coming. I'm very
So
excited
much,
by
so
it.
much. And then also you are working with teen boys,
Yeah,
correct?
I've
Yes.
just set up something called Divine Prince, which is
Mm.
I realized that I had a big awakening when I did a sort of Kundalini dynamic meditation when I was sort of, I don't know, 18, where you shake and then you dance,
Yes.
and everything changed from that moment. And I knew I had to go and study in India, which I did. I went off and studied in this commune. It was amazing. And they gave me the name. I took sannyas, right? I dedicate my life to awareness. And that was in 1994. And they gave me the name Devaraj, which means Divine Prince. So
Oh
as I was
my
sitting in
God.
meditation, I was like, it's got to be called Divine Prince, and I've
Oh,
got
I
to lead
love that
everywhere.
so much. I love that.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so amazing because I think what you said earlier, because a lot of children that are beat by their parents, a lot of times they'll become what might be labeled a borderline, or where they don't have an identity and they're looking for identity. So I think what you said earlier is really imperative for people to understand. And we don't believe in titles. We don't believe in you're borderline or you're codependent, or we just don't believe in those titles. We believe that we get to create ourselves from this moment forward in a new thought, knowing that we are creators, we're divine creators. So I would love it if you want to pray us out.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay, so I will ask all of you just to put your hands together and just indulge us for a moment. Put your hands together and rub your hands together, and just feel your fingertips brushing against each other, and just know you're cleaning all the 10 planetary aspects of self. And as you're rubbing those, feel the tension in your hands, cleaning all the field around you, in and outside. The first thing we do is we acknowledge the oneness of all things, that your hands come to rest by your heart. I acknowledge the oneness of all things, that oneness that's always been and will always be, that is and of everything, all the past, all the future, all your enemies, all your friends, all the wrongdoing, all the right doing, all the triggers and the triumphs. And then there is no separation between me and that. I get to be that. I am the I am. I am the universe. I am that unmanifest power manifest in this body. There's no phone call I need to make, no bridge I need to cross, no river I need to swim across. I am there. I am the I am. And as the I am, I declare that I am reaching millions and millions of hearts worldwide, that I am truth, that we are healed, that we are whole, that we are the true free expression of all we've come here to be, that I'm singing the song I came to sing. In my heart, I see us all radiant, light, warm, cherished, wanted, loved, held. As together we say, Dr. E.
And so it is. Yes. Oh my gosh, my heart is so full, so full. And I just want to say thank you from the community as well. You know, we have mostly women, as you know, and they're about 99% women. And we have amazing divine masculine in there as well. And I just want to say you add so much to, I mean, I don't think we've ever had somebody so many revered. Like, you are so revered in the community. It's really amazing. And I'm just so blown away by, you know, a spirit that could be abused by their father, how loving you are. And it's really, really profound.
It's
really
beautiful
profound.
that in the E4 as well, you go back and you see who you are, you know, before all that. And I am just a really loving, sweet little boy, you know, just that means well for everyone. And you get to learn that about yourself. And maybe you distrusted yourself before, you know.
Yes.
And you girls are amazing, just so you know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I just want to read one thing, because Ruu kind of had to put in his story to come on here so that he could distill it down and stuff. And I was reading through all of it. I just want to read one thing for anybody out there, that if you are still going through some tumultuous times, maybe even being abused by your family. There was a time for Ruu, and he had grown up in a very violent and volatile family. But there was a moment, he says in here. He was in Spain. He was about 10 or 11 years old. And his family was out kind of on the run, if you will. And in a moment, he walked up away from his parents. He walked out, I believe, which was out in the woods on a plateau, about 100 meters away from his family. And he sat there under the stars. And in that moment, he describes how he felt the bliss of his first time in his life. He felt that oneness. He felt that allness, that divine nature, the divine prince, if you will. And so we want to say that anybody's out there, that we see you, we're with you now. We're with you spiritually right now. And we know that when you're ready to heal, there are answers, whether it be through coming into Soulciété and getting trained, whether it be working through Ruu, because he does work one-on-one as well. And wherever that is, we know that Spirit's going to guide you perfectly to the perfect place, the perfect community, and the perfect healing modalities. We love you.
We love you.
Yes, we love you. Thank you, Ruu, for sharing your heart and your life.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Erin. Thank you so much. Really. Bless you.
Okay, you guys, you can find Ruu. Why don't you tell them where you can find him again? It's just Ruu Campbell on social media as well.
Yeah, Ruu Campbell and at Ruu Meditations on Instagram, and Ruu.world on, you know, for my website.
Okay, cool. So it's RUU and then Campbell.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, you guys, have a
so
blessed day, and may you live your truth.
May you live your truth.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Okay, amazing.
You hold the sun, I'll hold the moon, give our smiles to the rivers flowing through. Be there for my love, and then watch as your face rise above it all, embracing all the things in your heart, all the smiles in your heart, all the struggle, every step along the path in your heart, turning all the cold towards your soul. No one knows how hard it is you fall, digging from the gold mine of it all. Give me love like this never felt before. Give me love so full can't be anymore. Take tear down these walls on your dancing feet. Give yourself to the rivers flowing down your cheeks. Valleys in our veins, ground warm but hard. You lie back into the kiss of the stars, the kiss of the stars.